All right, I think we're ready. All right, so we've been talking about tools for going back to school. And what came to mind for me was mindful conversation, because connecting with people is such a big part of that, right? Being comfortable in your own skin and being able to connect and communicate is so big. Um, so does anyone have any thoughts about like what would a mindful conversation be for you? Anyone have any ideas?
Well, mindful to me speaks to a very strong intention that you set before having the conversation.
Very cool. Very cool. Yes. All right, Tavian, I'm going to pick on you. What do you think a mindful conversation would be? There's no wrong answers here.
Mindful conversation. Um, hmm. I would say like a mindful conversation, like something like that's deep, you know, it's not just like I guess you're not just talking to talk, you know, but you're like engaged, you know.
Exactly. Absolutely. Of course. Yeah, so being engaged, being present, right, to that. So we're going to be talking about like the aspects of that, and we're going to do a couple different practices that we can do to kind of get a deeper understanding and also learn how to ground ourselves and to be present. So I'm going to open up some slides. All right. So mindful conversation is like what we just said, being present, really listening, about communicating with others from a place of intention, right? Knowing what we're trying to share. So some of the things that come up when we're doing this is self-awareness, just being aware of where you're coming from, right? What is your purpose? What is your intention in this conversation? Active listening, where you're not trying to figure out what you're going to say when it's your turn, but you're actually just being there open and allowing that person to talk and really listening and trying to understand where they're coming from. The next would be empathy. And this is really about putting yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to understand where they might be coming from. It's really easy to get stuck in our own belief systems, right? And to be in that space so much that we aren't able to hear somebody else. But if we can understand their perspective, then we can understand them a little bit better. Also, we need to practice non-judgment. When we're approaching a conversation, if you go in there and you're like, oh, this is going to suck, right? This is going to be so hard. You aren't going to be in a space of hearing them. So even if, we don't always agree, but I'm going to listen. I'm going to go in there with the intention of hearing what they're saying and go in there with non-judgment. Allow yourself to be present. Compassion, of course, kindness, care, understanding. For me, what helps is when I'm going into a conversation, I affirm my thoughts, words, and actions are centered and guided by love. And that way I'm thinking, is this coming from love when I'm in the conversation? So showing compassion and understanding, so important. And then being authentic. When you go into these conversations, it's not about you lying to make them feel better, or just agreeing with them, but it's about finding that authenticity and honesty coming from a space of kindness and love when you're expressing. Just being clear and being real and being you. That's really important for these conversations. And then last is patience. Just allowing the conversation to flow, not trying to jump to conclusions or assume you know where it's going. And we're going to be watching a short video with a very cool story. So I'm going to go ahead and start that.
In a remote mountain monastery, nestled amidst ancient pine trees and cascading waterfalls, there lived a venerable Zen master named Hashin. One sunny morning, a young and eager monk named Kavi arrived at the monastery. He had heard tales of Master Hashin's wisdom to learn the profound teachings of Zen. With a heart full of anticipation, Covey approached the monastery's gate and was welcomed inside. Master Hashin, a man of few words, greeted Covey with a simple nod and invited him to join the other monks in the daily activities of the monastery. Covey was enthusiastic and dedicated himself wholeheartedly to the monastery's routines, which included meditation, work, and tea ceremonies. One day, after several weeks of diligent practice, Covey found himself alone with Master Hashin in the monastery's serene tea room. The room was adorned with calligraphy scrolls and a single low table set with a tea set, an exquisite porcelain teapot, and a teacup. Master Hashin began to prepare tea, his movements slow and deliberate. As he poured the steaming liquid into a teacup, the cup filled, and then he continued to pour. The tea overflowed the cup and spilled onto the table. Covey, bewildered by this apparent oversight, exclaimed, "Master, the cup is full! It cannot hold any more tea." Master Hashin continued pouring, seemingly unperturbed by the tea spilling onto the table. Covey watched in confusion until he could no longer contain his frustration and blurted out, "Master, what are you doing? The cup is overflowing." Master Hashin stopped pouring, looked at Covey, and calmly said, "Covey, like this teacup, your mind is full. You have come here with a cup already brimming with your own ideas, judgments, and expectations. How can you expect to receive the wisdom of Zen if your cup is already full?" Covey was struck by Master Hashin's words, and a profound realization began to dawn within him. He understood that to truly learn and grow, he needed to empty his mind of preconceived notions and be open to the teachings of Zen.
All right. Well, can you hear that, or is it just me?
Master named Hashin.
Sorry, one moment. All right, now I can see you again. Okay, so what did you hear in the story? Does anyone feel comfortable just sharing what you heard? It's just in your own words. What happened?
Well, the master used pouring tea into a cup as an analogy of a student's willingness to learn, and and kind of a lesson to everybody. If we go into a situation with a lot of preconceived notions, we tend to fit the facts that we observe into those notions, and so we have to listen with more openness that we not guide what our conclusions are, that they come from what we're seeing.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. That was awesome. I appreciate that. Does anyone else have anything to add to that? What you saw in the video or heard in the video? All right. How did you feel when the tea was spilling over? Did you feel nothing?
Somebody else's turn.
Yeah. Stressed out. Stressed.
Stressed out. Anyone else?
Frustrated.
Frustrated. Yep.
Well, when I heard it, I knew that he had a lesson in there. I was just waiting to see what the lesson was because I wasn't concerned because I knew it was I figured out it was intentional.
Yeah. So what did you think about what he said about it? Why he was what his lesson was? How did you feel about his explanation? That as long as his mind is full, we can't receive anything. Does everyone have any thoughts on that? Or any experiences?
Honestly, I thought it was brilliant, and I was immediately thinking, I want to do this with my Y.O.U. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm going to straight
it's a
get a
good story.
teapot and just.
I love that. I love that. So how might this story connect with support our idea of active listening or of mindful communication? How might this lesson work for that? Go ahead. Sorry.
Like maybe, by like clearing your mind, So when you clear your mind, I feel like you're able to take things in more. And then when you're like less focused on like preconceived notions, I guess, or judgments, like you're able to take in more information, and you may be willing to more information that beforehand, like you may have been like, oh well, that's wrong, or like I don't agree with that. But like when you clear your mind, and you just let it flow, information flow. I feel like you can be more open minded, take more things in.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Right. Anyone else have anything to add to that? That idea of the empty cup? All right. So where do you see this happening in your world? Like in school or in your family? Where do you see this idea of being so full with ideas that you aren't able to take in anything else, or somebody else where you see it?
Yes.
In my life, I see this in a lot of places because I feel like I'm a very like stubborn person, and like I want like my ideas to be like the right one, always the correct one. And like if somebody else gives me advice, I'm like I feel like sometimes there's a struggle for me to take it. Sometimes I'm like pretty good about taking advice, but other times, I just like, well, why should I do that? So yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah. Who can relate to that? Right. Right. Absolutely. So that's going to be a big part of our next step, which is that active listening, is being willing to empty our cup and be present and open to what's happening in front of us. Thank you so much for sharing. That was very cool. All right. I'm going to share again. Hopefully this won't start again. Oh, it's going to start. Okay. All right. So active listening. We're going to go over some tips for how to be present and how to do this. And the first is tune in. Pay attention. Pay attention to how you're feeling, not just what's happening too. Pay attention to the whole situation. What's coming up for you? Are you trying to be helpful? Are you trying to win an argument? Are you trying to fix somebody? Are you really just present and listening? Listen deeply. Don't just wait for your turn to talk. How many people, when you're like going around a circle and you're going to have to talk, are sitting there thinking about, oh, this is what I'm going to say, and planning it out and not hearing anyone else? Right? I caught myself doing that for a long time. So part of this is remembering I'm going to know what to say when it gets to me. Right now, I'm here to listen and letting that go. Choosing your words wisely. This is that empathy part, right? Thinking about how might these words affect other people? Am I being kind and respectful? Is this hurtful? Am I trying to hurt them? Sometimes we're angry, and instead of being in that space of loving expression, we react out of fear or anger. So recognizing when that's happening, and choose your words to support the person and not break down. Be honest and open, share your thoughts and feelings, but do it in a way that you're not attacking or blaming. So being open and honest. About your thoughts and feelings when you're having these conversations. And last, stay calm. This might be the hardest one, right? Staying calm. When things get heated, just take a breath, stay calm. Don't let your emotions take over. And a big part of the active listening is allowing yourself to be in that space of almost, just clarity, just clearing, just listening, staying calm, not getting attached to the conversation or what's happening, but just allowing yourself to listen. So does anyone have any questions about anything so far? Okay. So we're going to be taking a moment to practice active listening. And what we're going to be doing is going to be splitting into pairs, or there might be 3 in a couple groups. And each person will get a chance to talk. So when you first get into your group, pick a person who's going to talk first. and the other person is the listener. So you're going to talk for 2 minutes. It can be talking about yourself, who you are, whatever comes up for you. Maybe a favorite hobby. And you're going to share for 1 to 2 minutes. And the listener is just going to listen. You aren't going to answer. You aren't going to go, but you can make eye contact, well, as much as you can on Zoom. And you can nod your head, but you're just going to listen and take it in. And then when they're done, I'm going to invite you to respond to them and say, I think I heard you say this, or it sounds like this, and tell them what you heard. You don't have to repeat the whole thing, just the general. So it sounds like you really love this thing and you love it because of it. And see how much you can take in and understand. Mark, you could do like little notes in
broadcast a
the
message.
thing. Yeah. So
So-
like maybe it's 2 minutes, send in, respond,
Change.
then switch.
Respond.
Yeah.
Julie has to
Does that
jump
sound
off.
good, everyone?
Thanks for joining, Julie. She has to jump off. And so
Oh, bye, Julie.
Thanks for
And-
joining us. See you later.
we might, that's your room, Angie, and so you,
We're gonna move you
Okay.
around. I can create the rooms and then move people.
okay.
Sounds awesome. Does anyone have any questions real quick?
So 2 minutes, make a, and then how long do you want them to mention, maybe a minute to feedback?
Yeah.
And then say
That would be
change
good.
partner?
Sure, that would be perfect.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you.
Are we
Cool.
all ready?
Okay.
I think so.
Open.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move Angie to his room. She's here. Can I move her over?
Move to.
To room 5. Oops. Where did that go?
Hi, Nick.
There it is.
There it is. Move to 5.
And,
Don't.
oops. She moved?
Let's see if she moved.
There she is.
Okay. Hey, Nick.
Okay, let's do a 2 minute real quick.
All right.
This is our 15 minutes, is almost done.
I don't know how we ended up here. I thought we were in the.
Are you in the main room, Nick?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, well, here we are. Let's just make sure all the rooms have.
yeah, if it's doing all of the rooms, we can be a group.
Okay, we've got,
So yours just didn't get assigned?
It's not,
That is weird. Well, we'll be, as
Good.
long as everyone has to.
yeah, ours will be recorded.
So let us not tell our deep and darkest secret. So you gotta, well, who would like to start? La, la, la.
And I'm gonna work the broadcasting and the tech, and I'll let the two of you do
Okay.
the process.
Nick, do you have a story you would like to share?
nothing burning at the moment. Do you have something to share?
Let's see. I can just talk about today. So today we're studying the 12 Power of Will in Spirit School, and everyone, all the attendees were a really good demonstration of willfulness. So I don't know what was in the air, if, school starting and everyone just, and one little boy comes up and I said, Julius, what's going on today? Because he was like pretty off the rails. And he said, well, I didn't sleep very well last night. I said, oh, well, that's a bummer. He's 5, almost 6. I said, do you need an extra hug? And he goes, yeah. Sometimes just need an extra hug. And that reminded me, just because of, now I forgot who shared it, that, you don't know what everyone's going through. And instead of getting angry or frustrated that they're not, part of your agenda, maybe just check in with them. Yeah, that's it.
Well, what I heard was your lesson today was on will, and everyone was a good demonstration of willfulness from the personality rather than divinity.
Right.
But it was also a good reminder that, we each have our own stresses in life and to check in with people rather than assuming.
Yeah. Yeah. We also had, that was a great recap. We also had a brother and sister. So the sister took her older brother's paper, and he called her stupid. And then the drama started. I mean, I've never heard, I thought she had lost a limb or something, but no. So anyway, I came and asked her if she was hurt and no, he just called me stupid. It's like, oh, all right, well, there's no stupid people in this room. So, but just again, sinking in and finding out, like, what's happening here? And her brother's like, well, she took my paper. And then I asked all the kids, does anyone else have, who has brothers and sisters? And most people did. Like, yes, we understand how this goes. And yeah, but it was all
and it's time for him to start telling the story.
teaching. Well, he did.
I mean,
Oh,
are
just
you to tell
switch.
yours?
Yeah, no, I'm
I
good.
mean, time for him.
Yeah, so that's good.
Okay. Oh, our summer rendezvous ended on Sunday last week. And so post-rally depression hit good and hard. And coupled with some anxiety and sleep deprivation, so made for a kind of rough week.
Oh.
But I also, I thought I screwed up. So I reached out, try to, make amends and repair the relationship. And then via text, I said, no, we're good, I promise. But I kept worrying about it. So it's good for me to take a moment. It's like, no, I trust them. They said we're good. We're good. And then to show up at church today, it's like, we're good.
Aww.
So, that was a relief.
Yeah.
But also just a reminder that, I can get out of my head once in a while.
Not the truth. So good. You had rendezvous. Post-rally depression syndrome was like large in your life.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the recap. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the recap and just like, we all do thought you messed up and the other person like, no, we're good. And yeah, having you, like you said, like such a reminder to get out of my head and into my heart and like, oh, okay, here's the reality of it, and so that's really great, and kudos to you for being able to catch that, really catch it and say, oh, that's not the truth. Woo. Yeah. So sending blessings to you, and I know it's such a lot of work, and then the after is like, woo, it all kind of falls out, and glad your day went well today. Yeah, I'm able to do that. Was this, do you have a message that says it's going to close in a minute or something? 60 seconds. Okay, cool.
You said your kiddo you thought they'd lost a limb. Like, for how many of us is our identity as a sibling an extra limb?
Ooh.
Like, her identity got injured.
Yeah.
Oh, how do we fix that?
I was talking to their parents, when they came in and told them, yeah. So it is so true how our identities get caught up in